Okay, hi everyone. I'm sure that a lot of you are so excited for today's show. We've been talking about it. A lot of couples are wondering what's going to happen after ECQ for weddings. And today, I have with me a special guest. Her passion is for planning events, and we're so happy to have her here in BNB TV because we are going to be discussing weddings after ECQ. We've had topics like cutting down on your wedding styling costs. We had that with Teddy Manuel. We also had your wedding program tips by Ari Neiman. And today we have someone who is so good at what she's doing. She offers her full service for wedding coordination. So a lot of couples need that. Her company is called Kote, and for sure in the Chinese community, she's very well known. A lot of the Chinese brides like her because she's so familiar with Chinese weddings. And she is also the person behind the very successful Singapore bridal fair. So for our Singapore viewers today, I know you're familiar also with our very special guest today, and she will be sharing with us what she thinks will happen after ECQ. So please welcome Christine Ong Te.
Hi guys. Hi everyone. Thank you, Janna, for
Hi,
having me.
well,
I
I'm
hope
so
my
excited. I'm so
me
excited to
too.
interview you. And
Yeah.
before we start with our questions, I want to tell the viewers that sometimes, baka magulat sila eh. Sometimes I might call you Pooh. So
Yes.
don't think I'm calling her by the wrong name because, Christine is so loved in the industry and people, her friends in the industry actually fondly call her Pooh. So if ever I call her Pooh, for our viewers here, since we're interviewing her now, you can actually call her Pooh na rin if you like.
Yes,
But
yes.
it
Oo.
can be
Para mas
Christine.
mm,
Yeah, Christine or Pooh. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And
go Pooh.
yeah, I'm happy that Janna, for having me. In fact, I hope I will be able to help after this to all our future couples and all our couples who are really being affected with the COVID. So yeah,
Yeah.
there. You can
Yan
call me
talaga
any. Yeah.
yung, yeah, or Christine or Pooh. But you know what, Pooh? Since I've known you for quite some time, I always call you Pooh, so I'll be calling you Pooh throughout the show. Um,
Oo.
but here's the thing: a lot of people have been curious, or a lot of couples have been, um, I guess, thinking of what's gonna happen now to weddings. So today I want to ask your experience because diba you're a coordinator and you talk to a lot of couples. Um, I want to know like how is it now during ECQ? What is happening for the wedding planning of the couples? Maybe you can share with us some of your experience.
Okay. So basically, all couples are affected with the ECQ. Basically, weddings from March until June. So yun yung pinaka mas
Okay.
affected. So let's talk
Mm-mm.
about those affected muna. All of these
Mm-mm.
couples kumbaga, they will reschedule their wedding. Some this
Yeah.
year and some next year. So our planning still the same. I gave a lot of updates. We actually, my office and my team are all working kumbaga usual working hours pa rin namin, and we
Mm-mm.
do a lot of meetings pa din kasi parang since babalik kumbaga we wanted kasi to let the couples na feel na it's okay guys, kahit na ma-reschedule yan, wala namang problema. Kumbaga kaya natin ayusin yan. So we are here to be able to let them feel na guys, no problem. Kaya natin gawa ng paraan yan. So,
Mm-mm.
rescheduling lang yan. Yun yung ginagawa namin ngayon.
Oo. So I think siguro the initial reaction is panic or fear because
Yes.
siguro nung early March when they didn't know, okay, ano ba gagawin natin? Push through? Are we gonna reschedule? How is this gonna happen? But I guess as the weeks and days have gone by, I think a lot of our couples have already started contacting their coordinators and figuring out what the next steps are, di ba? So in
Mm-mm.
Bride and Breakfast, we also try to bring out articles that help our couples on the next steps while they are on ECQ. But I also want to ask Pooh, what are the usual concerns that they raise with you?
Okay, since this couple na affected, usual concern nila availability of the suppliers, right? So what we do, we give them tips of how gumawa kami ng setup na para hindi rin mahirapan yung couple namin. Kasi right now, we can
Okay.
only check some suppliers, but definitely like venues and churches are not still open. So
Okay.
parang magiging pending siya. And para hindi malus yung, gana or excitement ng couple para mag-plan ng wedding, what I do is that we give like a 3 dates or 4 dates kung ano yung pasok. Then, fill in the blank na lang sinong suppliers yung available. So, parang kung nasaan mag-fall, then pag pumasok na yung time na ma-lift na yung quarantine, it's easier na para matanong nila yung church and hotels. However, ang maganda ngayon, kahit naka-quarantine, may mga churches kasi na available online to check eh. Meron ding hotels na, kumbaga, they can still
Mm.
check their availability. Kumbaga, naka-pencil book lang. And then once nag-resume na yung work, then that's the time tsaka ifa-finalize yung parang kumbaga hindi naman siya parang tipong dead end na. So, sa akin, it's very proactive yung mangyayaring sistema. So, parang do not think of just one date. Better if multiple dates yung piliin natin. And
Mm-mm.
ako kasi majority of my clients are Chinese eh. So, ang problema sa akin, feng shui, date. Yung mga napili
Mm,
nilang
okay.
chosen dates, especially from March to June, ano na yan eh,
Mm-hmm.
napili na nila yung dates nila. So, what I do is that they can still get good dates until January. And then,
Okay.
in general na lang siguro, na may makikita ka namang universal na general dates for next year. However, if they still wanted to have their wedding this year, but then again, hindi na available yung mga suppliers, my suggestion, they can still push the wedding next year. Tapos, gawin na lang nila, pwede sila magpa-civil wedding lang para lang doon makuha lang nila yung good date for this year,
Mm.
example And then, gawin pa rin natin yung big wedding nila for next year. Kasi ako, I have a strong faith na, everything will end. This crisis natin, temporary lang to, I hope, no? And I pray na temporary lang siya. All we have to do is just be able to do something about it. Yun lang ang pwede natin gawin eh. Do something about
Mm-mm.
it.
Mm-mm.
Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na mag-stop. Hindi ko rin sinasuggest na because naka-quarantine kayo, do not stop planning kasi you can
Mm-hmm.
still meet your suppliers because the beauty about this pandemic or the quarantine, naka-ECQ tayo, everybody are all available.
Mm,
In
yes,
in
that's
in
true.
reality, when there's no quarantine, it's really hard to bring the suppliers in one meeting. Plus the fact na you're rushing your time because there's traffic and
Uh-uh.
here you can still meet your designer, you can still meet your
Mm-mm.
florist, you can still you can ang maganda pa, for example, if you your musicians, pwede ka naman magpa-demo ng songs na gusto mo para sa kumbaga kumbaga hindi ka nagmamadali. That's,
Yes, oo.
and of course, privacy pa. Kasi when you meet your suppliers outside, ang ingay-ingay, ganyan. So, there.
So I think that's one of the good points that couples actually have to know. Mas beneficial nga I think yung opportunities now for meetings because suppliers are more focused on taking the meetings instead of running the events. So if you do book like for example a Zoom meeting, 'di ba? And invite all
Yeah.
your suppliers. Mas less na nakakapagod din because it's actually very tiring to go out often every weekend, tapos magme-meet ka ng one supplier and then another supplier the next weekend. And now you can actually start planning with all of them na in sync na all together
Yes.
na.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think po this is something that, as you said, couples need to take advantage of na just because ECQ, it doesn't mean na they have to stop planning. But
Yeah.
okay, sige, let's say na lang they don't, they're willing to keep planning. How do you think they can manage the, kasi to, truth be told, syempre we're in a crisis, 'di ba? We're in a pandemic. So minsan may ano pa diyan, may panic, may stress. How do you think couples could manage their stress and effectively wedding plan during this time?
Okay, for couples who are greatly affected, these are couples na March until June na, yung naapektuhan talaga ng quarantine.
March
Um,
until June 2020.
2020, correct. So,
Yes. Okay.
my tip lang is number one, don't stop planning. Kasi it will be hard for you guys if you wait parang until the time na the nag-lift na yung quarantine, tsaka lang kayo mag-start
Mm-mm.
mag-plan.
Mm-mm.
Again, you don't, if you're getting difficulty of reserving the place or the church, that's fine. Basta yung remaining number of suppliers mo na involved dun sa planning mo, isama mo siya sa planning mo. And then, like I said earlier, set three different dates. Tapos i-align mo lang doon yung sino yung mga suppliers ang available. Easier that
Okay.
way. And then, of course,
Okay.
you talk to your supplier in terms of like, syempre kung next year na yung weddings na, or this year, kumbaga, of course, ask for revised contract, at least one down na, para at least when the
Mm-mm.
time na bumalik na yung back to normal na tayo, konti na lang yung i-discuss nyo, konti na lang yung aayusin mo. Uh, Yun, pwede kang mag-adjust ng schedule mo. Di mo kailangan, parang sayang kasi yung opportunity na makukuha mo because of the idea na all the suppliers are available during the ECQ. Now,
Mm-mm.
those clients naman na, basta ang tip ko, both sa lahat, huwag kayong mag-panic. Just, think positive. Maging proactive lang. Hindi kailangan mag-panic. There's no need to
Mm-mm.
really get panic. And yung mga couples, July to, this year, sa
To
akin,
next year. Mm.
yeah, to next year, don't worry yet. I mean, sa totoo lang, it's not gonna help. Kumbaga, hindi kayo matutulungan if you're worrying something na alam mo hindi mo rin alam what's gonna happen next. So my suggestion, wait until the quarantine lifted. Then pag na-lift na siya, tsaka natin maintindihan what's next na after, right? Kumbaga,
Mm-mm.
sa ngayon it's too early pa. Kunyari ang wedding mo August, or let's just say September ang wedding mo, August onwards, parang wag mo muna siyang you can start talking to your suppliers para lang
Yes.
just to get ready in case,
Mm-mm.
but don't decide yet. Don't
Don't
decide
make
yet. Don't
rash
don't
decisions.
yeah, don't make rash decisions. You can maybe adjust on something like maybe kasi we don't know like ano ba yung magiging pinaka-final na gustong gawin ng government in terms of the social gatherings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the hotels and the venues, they will be also implementing different protocols, sanitations about social distancing that we will be,
Yes.
we are required to comply, right? So,
Mm-mm.
uh, one at a time. Maybe we can, at ito pa, ang maganda, during this ECQ, no, there are some suppliers also that, giving special, for those clients naman that, haven't started planning,
Mm-hmm.
I suggest don't stop. You should start, you should still plan. You can still book your suppliers kasi maraming suppliers, they offering different promos during the ECQ.
Mm-mm.
So parang sayang
Better
yung
din, no?
opportunity.
Sayang yung
Yeah,
mga discount.
you get a better deal kasi not kasi the suppliers also are helping, especially the frontliners. So may
Mm-mm.
mga ibang suppliers na if you help, they give also. Para at least the same time nakatulong ka na rin, right? So
And so
kumbaga,
you said meron kang ano, 'di ba, like nagkwentuhan tayo. You mentioned something that you are offering to frontliners. Is that
yes,
right?
yes, yes. I already launched our promo. It's a hashtag frontliner5. So we are giving 50% discount to all frontliners. Ano
Ah,
lang,
that's nice.
kumbaga 5 lang siya until May 30. five na, kumbaga, kasi we want to value these people na they really risk their life. Na kumbaga tayo, nasa bahay lang tayo, pero sila, they need to go out and, go out of their way to help yung mga pasyente natin and sa mga,
Mm-hmm.
yung mga police na, alam mo yun, sa akin, I wanted to give back that way.
Okay.
So I hope yung mga wala pang may plan to get married, you can start, you can inquire sa amin.
Yeah, and to our viewers, I think this is something you can also share to your friends, the frontliners, because I don't even know if they're watching this show right now, because most likely they are risking their lives. They're in the hospitals, they are helping where the action is. So if you know anyone and
Yes,
it
yes.
would really help them to cut down on their future weddings. You can also make them go to Christine. And this one naman we also wanted to mention because it's so important that you have a good coordinator in your
Mm-hmm.
wedding, no matter what
Yeah.
that is, even if it's a small wedding or if it's a big wedding. Napaka-importante ng wedding coordinator. Poo, in most of the weddings that I have attended. So I've been doing bride and breakfast for 10 years. And in those 10 years, syempre marami na akong na-attend. The most beautiful weddings are also the most organized. And I know sometimes na overlook yung importance ng coordinator. But anytime a couple comes to me and asks, what is your number one tip for wedding planning? And I say a few things, but one of the things on the top of my list is getting a credible wedding coordinator because it can make or break your wedding. No matter how beautiful your gown is, no matter how good your food is, no matter how amazing your band is, pag palpak yung wedding coordinator, it can really affect everything. So I'm sure na experience mo yan.
Yeah, I always tell to my bride na when you have a planner, it's not like parang we're just one of the suppliers na need mo. I always tell to my brides na you get us because you need us. It's not about you just want to have a coordinator. Kasi if you need us, then you will realize the importance of our services. Kasi
Mhm.
hindi naman tangible yung product namin eh. So, parang kami kasi yung driver ng bus. Kami yung captain of the
Yes.
ship. Kami yung, if, for example, nalubak ka, uh, we wanted, kami ang driver lang makakapagsabi kung idediretso ba niya yun or hindi. Kung
Mm-mm.
kailangan mo na mag-abort ng barko, di ba? I mean, lalo na in this crisis, I'm sure all my colleagues na coordinators are very busy talking to their clients, talking to their suppliers, aligning the schedules. Kumbaga, right now, importante talaga guys na when you have your planner and you have to make sure that close coordination kayo. You tell to your coordinator what the things that you need, especially those affected na couple. Don't be
Mm-mm.
shy and tell ano ba yung magiging changes kung meron man sa wedding nyo, what do you want to do, what do you want to, if there's one person that you need to tell, that will be your coordinator kasi para mo siyang best
Yes.
friend during the
Mm-mm.
planning. That person will be your best friend, your angel during the planning. So, kumbaga, if you feel stressed, call your coordinator. If you have questions about planning, about wedding stuff, ganyan, sila yung unang dapat ang tatawagan nyo because that person should know ano yung dapat niyang sagutin sa mga questions mo about the weddings.
Okay. And I'm sure marami kang nare-receive na tawag lately because your brides are probably asking you, oh, Christine, when do we reschedule? Or Christine, what's our next step? And I think even in bride and breakfast, a lot of the readers would often ask us that na parang kailan ba okay mag-reschedule? When is it safe? What should we be doing? Paano yung social distancing? How do you answer questions like that, especially on the rescheduling?
For the rescheduling, like I said earlier, um, better once you have all the, you can still continue planning. Even the date is still not final, pwede ka pa rin mag-discuss with your
Yes.
suppliers. For example, program. You can talk, this is the best time to talk to your host. Pwede kayo
Mm-mm.
mag-brainstorm. At least one down ka na. Flowers, you can talk to your florist. Kasi, kumbaga, if there's some details that you really haven't decided and finalized yet, then, pwede rin to. Number three, invitation. You can still talk to your invitation. Pwede kayo magbatuhan. Proofread kayo, back and forth. Para by the time the quarantine
Yeah.
is over, then you can, ano na, pwede na mag-start printing. Kasi tapos na proofreading eh. Sobrang hirap ng proofreading, ilang back and forth yun. And right now, you have all the time to do that, right? And then,
Mm-hmm.
sa mga I discussed earlier about songs in the program and in the ceremony. You can discuss about that. If you don't have the list of names of your entourage, this is the best time, guys. You can call each and every one of them, check their names, complete names, check their kumbaga, you can encode kung sino yung mga gusto mong suppliers, sino yung mga gusto mong, yeah, suppliers for
And
your wedding, and then
mm-hmm.
sino rin yung gusto mong invite for your wedding. Kumbaga, it's not something that hindi totoo na wala kang gagawin. Marami kang
Mm-mm.
magagawa during the ECQ. And
Yeah.
don't sa akin don't lose hope, you know. Um you just have to make sure na parang after this ECQ, marami ka nang na-accomplish.
Okay.
Yun yung objective.
So I wanna make that clear, no? So what you're saying is rescheduling isn't always about pinning a date, 'di ba?
No.
Kasi sometimes
Because
talagang we don't know
yeah,
eh.
yeah. Jana, I'd like to add also, no, for all the soon-to-wed couple. Matatawa kayo dito, pero totoo to. Do not, syempre lahat ng, ano ba problema ng mga tao pagka sa quarantine, di ba? Na tumataba. Kasi kain ng kain, di ba? So ako, make sure that you have a fitness program at home.
Yes,
Right? Kasi,
oo.
don't forget that you are going to get married, you know? Baka pagdating ng ECQ, after ng ECQ, hindi na kasya damit nyo. Right? So, maganda if you are also, think of that. Waga, para, alam mo isa pa, sa mga bride na they haven't really decided about their gown, pero they have their designers na, they can talk to their
Mm-mm.
designers. I'm sure the designers, some of them are very much willing to talk to them, do the sketch during
Oo, at
online.
saka now, they're really like focused on your dress. Like this is the best
Correct.
time talagang puwede
Yeah.
kayong
Tapos pwede kayo
mag-usap about
mag-back and forth. Yeah. Pwede kayo mag-back
mm.
and forth. Jana, let me just share. Lahat ng meetings ko online with my clients, alam mo, wala naman ako naramdaman sa kanila na they're very sad about, what's
Mhm.
going on.
Ah,
They're very, parang okay naman, open naman sila. Maybe because it's how the way you, as planners kasi dapat kami yung parang, in a way, psychiatrist ba tawag doon? Or somehow, parang,
psychologist.
we psychologists, ganyan, we need to lift them up na at least, guys, don't worry, everything will be okay. I'm
Hmm,
sure,
okay.
di ba? Parang, pwede pa natin pa rin i-plan yung wedding mo. Pwede pa rin natin i-plan yung
Yes.
debut mo. Pwede pa rin natin i-plan yung birth. Kumbaga, somehow, marami ka pang magagawa during the ECQ.
And I like
And,
that point.
yeah,
Sorry. Before you
go ahead.
continue lang, because ang ganda ng point mo about fitness and not
Yes,
gaining during the
yes.
ECQ. Totoo yan. Parang right now, I find myself, ano bang pwedeng snacks? Ano bang pwedeng makain? But I also want to share with our viewers na BNB has been bringing out um, BNB Fitness. So these are classes that we host na
Oh,
parang ganito, BNB TV. So you guys
yeah.
can watch it with your fiance, pwede kayo mag-workout at home because we think that fitness is really a huge part of our mental health, our physical health. So please also stay tuned for BNB TV for our fitness classes. So go ahead, Poo. What were you saying?
Yeah. And Actually, isa pang common questions or problem na nagiging concern ng mga couple natin, lalo na yung mga naka-process na yung mga documents nila. Like,
Mhm.
nakapag-apply na ako ng marriage license. Paano yun? Normally lang naman is that, magre-reapply ka lang, you know? Um, something things like this, wala ka talagang magagawa. Kailangan mo lang talagang once everything is back to normal, once the church is already open, then we can start asking the church. Baka naman maging lenient sila in terms of the deadlines of the kasi may mga ano yan eh, may mga lapses yung time. So may expiration yan.
Hmm,
So
okay.
yun. Sa akin,
So
ano, don't worry yet. Don't worry on things that never, parang hindi pa rin alam yung sagot, huwag ka muna mag-worry.
mhm.
One at a time. You know, you just one at a time lang.
So I know nga parang yes, you're saying na a lot of brides do tend to worry, and it's so important na as coordinators or as anyone, like even myself, I always tell them there are better days ahead, and do not lose
Yes.
hope, because I think however you see things, you also reflect that on people. So it's important that we always keep hope alive. We know,
Yes.
okay, we also don't want to be insensitive. We know that it's really a pandemic. Hindi naman namin pinupush na um unrealistic, unrealistic planning, or let's forget what the country is going through. I think it's still very Okay, sorry, I got cut. As I was saying, I think it's still very crucial that we respect what the country is going through. Pero I think also it's so important for people to keep hope alive. It doesn't
Yes,
mean that just
yes.
because we
Never
are in
stop believing.
Mhm. Just because we're in a pandemic, it doesn't mean na kailangan hindi na ikasal, or kailangan hindi na maging masaya. I think God will always grant us rest from the troubles that
Yes.
we are experiencing. So, ang ganda rin kasi what I notice with the wedding suppliers is that they're really willing to help. I think that's a big concern with when all of this started, when we had the ECQ announced. I think a lot of couples were concerned, ay paano na kung hindi hindi makinig yung supplier ko for a reschedule, paano na yan? And I think also we were discussing po, no, like parang what if your supplier isn't available anymore for their next date?
Pero alam mo, Jana, okay, I'd like that question. Actually, ano yan eh, marami akong pwedeng i-suggest dyan. First option, for example, if the supplier is not available on the date of the wedding na napili mo na and that's the final, you can check with the suppliers if they have the second team. If they wanted to still get, para lang wala lang silang, alam mo, para hindi na mawala yung supplier na yon. Now,
Mm-hmm.
another option is that, of course, it's always, compromise na yan after. Importante, ito yung mga pwede nyong gawin during the ECQ. So, as early as now, para meron ka ng next target, para, you know what to do. You don't just, of course, you try to bring everyone in one day. Alam mo, Jana, actually, baka nga by this October onwards or September onwards, may mga weekdays sa tayong kasal. Puwede nang
Ah,
magpakasal
okay.
ng weekdays kasi bakit ba laging weekend ang kasal? Kasi 'di ba walang pasok, ganyan. So,
Mm.
come to think of it, if you are very close naman talaga to your friend na ikakasal at ikaw naman, pinsan mo yung ikakasal, I mean, ano ba naman yung isang araw na you will, not work for a day, 'di ba? Normally naman hindi meron ka namang ginagawang gano'n, eh, you take a leave naman talaga. So, sa akin, sa mga couples ko, okay lang naman kahit ikasal kayo ng weekday. In fact, mas traffic na nga ang Saturday kaysa sa normal days, right? So parang sa
Mm.
akin, um, sayang kasi, I'm sure you have the reason why you chose your supplier, yung binook nyo. gusto niyo sila eh, 'di ba? So, i-try niyo munang i-win yung situation na lahat ng suppliers mo available. Now, kung hindi
Mm-mm.
sila available, number one suggestion ko is, of course, try to consider if the second team is available, okay? I'm sure naman the suppliers na when they offer their second team, hindi yan second best. Tinatawag lang nila second
Mhm.
team kasi main team and then the second team practically the same quality yan dapat. Hindi yan ibebenta ng company kung hindi naman maganda yung quality ng second team. Second option, if hindi talaga available and they don't have a second team, then you compromise in terms of what will be the arrangement in terms of their contract. Guys, let me remind you, hindi lahat ng suppliers contract ay pare-pareho. Hindi siya universal contract, hindi siya universal agreement. Bawat supplier, iba-iba yung condition nila in their terms of
Yes.
contract. And I better to deal and open communication na lang and compromise. Ganon.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So those are really practical tips because I think we have to remember nga na we have to look at our contracts, and I think we also have to remember that we're talking to people also. So don't
And they're
assume
also
agad.
affected. They're also
Yeah,
affected,
yeah. They're also
suppliers are also
affected.
affected.
Lahat
Yeah.
naman affected. So I think
Lahat, yes.
there was a bride who messaged me one time asking na parang something about her contract, and she was already a bit agitated, and I told her, why not talk to your supplier first? Parang don't just base it on, let's say, email. Sometimes kasi ma-misinterpret, 'di ba? Like when you're
Yes.
texting or email,
Yeah.
why don't you call
Mm-mm.
them first, ask them their reasons, give your reasons, and then maybe magkaroon kayo ng agreement
Compromise.
on how to
Yes.
do it. And true enough, she messaged me after. She goes, "Thank you so much. I'm so calm. I got to talk to them. Naayos na namin." Because I think we are in unprecedented times. It's very different. Our suppliers is just going through this as much as we are. So it's very important that we keep the line of communication open. See what you can do with contracts. See how you can
Open.
negotiate. Yes, because I think all professionals are kind, and they will be willing to negotiate with you. So my next topic, I think this is something na a lot of people have been waiting for because our topic is weddings after ECQ. So Christine, in your
Okay.
opinion, how will weddings look like after ECQ?
For sure, I think ano yan, magda-downsize ang guest sa mga weddings.
Mhm.
Uh, there are there some are kumbaga actually personally my experience yun na yung nangyayari. Nagda-downsize na sila ng bisita kasi even their guests they're not willing to they couldn't make it kasi iba galing abroad, 'di ba? Yung iba naman talagang hindi kasi natin alam how the effect will happen after ECQ eh in terms
Mhm.
of social distancing, 'di ba? But
Mm.
definitely, para to be safe, yun ang gagawin ng iba. Maglilimit ng social distance. Maglilimit talaga ng bisita. And since very selected, magiging selected na lang yung mga bisita. Siguro, maybe dating rounds of 10 of table, magiging rounds of 6 na lang. And mas less yung buffet arrangements, more on plated food na lang para mas, mas safety for the time being, ganon. So, I think that's gonna be the trend now.
So you
Tapos
mentioned
magiging
buffet. Sorry, before you move on to your other points, meron lang here, I remember somebody mentioned it in the comments. And because you are familiar with Chinese weddings, Annie Lee is asking, for Chinese wedding laureate, paano kaya ang
yeah.
social distancing? My Aya's
Okay.
wedding is in October 20, but as of now, incomplete suppliers yet. So they want to know how to, like, if they're gonna push through, postpone, or reschedule, but they're asking paano
Okay.
yung food.
Okay. First, I'm gonna ask a question. Wala pa silang masyadong supplier, right? So, babalik ako dun sa sinabi ko kanina na Annie, right? Annie?
Yes,
So, Annie,
Annie. Mm-mm.
grab the opportunity, grab the chance of during the ECQ to book suppliers. You know why? Kasi nga, like I said, there are some suppliers that will be giving you discounts or promos or hindi lang yun, availability for them to be able for you to and them talk to each other ng maayos, whatever
Mm-mm.
questions. And then,
Yeah.
you might, kumbaga, nag-worry ka, baka mag-reschedule ka. Ang importante doon, na-block mo siya on a very good price and at the same time, you don't have to kasi hindi pa
Nice.
rin natin sure after ECQ kung makakalabas ka pa rin ba ng normal days kasi malilimit ka pa rin, right? So, sa akin, don't hold yourself not to book them. It's still nice and you can just ask the promos or the discount and availability of the suppliers. Second question, safe pa rin ba ang laureate, tama ba?
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Yeah,
question, no?
laureate. Yeah.
If it's a hotel, I suggest you can talk to the hotel. Nagawa ko naman na to before, even before ECQ, na yung laureate,
Mm-hmm.
plated laureate na siya. So,
Ah,
individual,
okay.
kumbaga, I'm sure the hotel will do something about this, parang next step nila after this ECQ because everybody's concerned, especially my clients are all, majority are Chinese and they're serving laureate food. I will also suggest to my hotel partners na offer na natin yung plated na Russian na kumbaga sorry, not Russian, plated na Chinese food. That way, hindi, kasi syempre, yun nga yung isang sinabi ko kanina, di ba? Magbabago yung setup ng pagkain. Medyo hindi na tayo masyado magbo-buffet. Mangyayari nun,
Mm.
ipe-plate na ng tao, ipe-plate na ng hotel yung food to the guest para mas,
Mm-mm.
hygienic. And I suggest to the hotels to invest on the covers, yung ginagamit natin sa room service.
Ah,
Yung, 'di ba, pagka
yes.
nag-order ka
Oo.
ng food sa hotel, 'di ba may cover 'yon? So, I hope the hotels will invest on that. And ito pa pala, sa hotels, baka maglalagay sila ng sariling mga iba't ibang protocols. Baka sila mismo, they will not allow more than this number of guests, I think. Kasi para sa kanila din, kumbaga safety din ng lahat eh. Right? So,
Mm-mm.
I think, yun. I hope I was able to answer the question.
Yes, yes, you were. And yung other question ko dyan, since you're talking about this new trend of smaller weddings, less people, I'm sure a lot are, because the Philippines is well known for our big weddings, di ba? I mean, tayo pa Pinoy, we really want
Yes.
to celebrate with everyone.
Yes,
So,
that we love, right?
yes, yes. So, what can you advise those who feel like gusto pa rin nila ng big wedding? Is it, or I want to ask, like, um, do you think how can you explain the difference of a big wedding and small wedding? Meron ba yan in terms of beauty? Meron ba yan in terms of logistics?
Big
Um,
weddings, okay,
yeah.
big weddings, you measure it based on number of guests,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And then, of course, in terms of aesthetic, in terms of looks, that can be also considered as big weddings. But in relation to our situation right now, I think the big weddings that we are more particular about it will be the number of the guests, right? So,
Mm-mm.
I can say, maybe after ECQ, inside joke na nga yan eh, yung mga coordinators or mga suppliers sa PPE na. No, parang kidding aside,
Mm-mm.
I'm sure after ECQ, lahat ng tao ngayon naka-mask eh, right? So parang
Mm-mm.
ire-require na yan. Even siguro hanggang sa, maging maayos lang ang lahat na pwede nang walang mask.
Yes.
Pero for the time
Yes.
being, magmamask yung mga tao. That's
Mm-mm.
for sure. And ire-require natin ng alcohol. Alam mo, Jana, if I may share, before this ECQ, before the COVID happened in the Philippines, nung panahon pa lang na nasa China pa lang siya, may event pa ako noon eh. Simula noon, I deploy alcohols na sa registration table. So
Okay,
para,
okay.
kumbaga yung bisita, alam mo yun, aware na sila na may alcohol. So parang, I think that's gonna be a requirement na rin. So may
Mm-mm.
kakaroon na rin ng sanitation, aside from the proper sanitation na mangyayari from the hotels, as your sariling event, baka nga maging patok na yung souvenir na alcohol eh. Yun na yung
Oo
magiging,
nga.
yan na yung
That's
magiging
very
trend.
useful. I would want
sanitizer,
to see
alcohol,
that.
and ang souvenir na ngayon, hindi ano na, facial mask na. Magugulat ka, may monogram na ng couple. Or different quote na makikita ng mga tao, di ba? I mean,
Yeah.
Filipino are very creative, right? So, who said you cannot wear mask on your wedding day, right? So, yun.
Puwedeng maging stylish na, magkaroon na ng mga stylish
Yeah,
masks for
correct.
formal masks.
Yung gown, naka-wedding gown yung bride, and then, no, and I'm just kidding. So anyway, yun, I think, parang sa akin, hindi ko naman nakikita na dapat, very positive kasi ako mag-isip, Jana. Ayokong
Mm.
isipin yung idea na, sure, dapat di ka na pwede mag 1,000 bisita or 500, ganyan-ganyan. Um, like I said, it's so hard to say right now. Kasi hindi naman talaga
Mm.
natin alam what's gonna happen. But
Yes.
siguro kung tatanungin mo ko or based on my experience with my clients right now, they're they're worried. Pero alam mo yun, hindi ko sinasabi ko sa kanila, take it easy guys. After this, we can decide after the
Mm.
lifting of the quarantine. Because lalo yung mga couples, ito payo ko sa lahat ng mga couples from August onwards, huwag kayo muna mag-panic. Even July, Filipino are very positive and happy people.
Yes.
Masusurvive natin to. If there's one thing that you can siguro do something right now, maybe, yeah, you can lower yung guest nyo para at least alam nyo rin na safe din kayo. Alam mo na
Mm.
itong mga guest mo, hindi din mahawa kung sino man. Kasi ang mahirap sa atin, hindi natin alam sino yung carrier eh. Di
Oo,
ba? So,
correct. Oo.
so if you limit your guests, knowing that, this circle of guests na to, ito lang yung mga taong alam mong safe na hindi sila may sakit, okay ka lang, siguro pwede ka
Mm.
nang magpakasal, di ba? I
Mm.
mean,
Yeah.
big or small celebration is still a celebration. Big or small
Yes.
wedding, still a wedding.
Yes.
Hindi natin kailangan isipin, kailangan, pag magiging masaya ka ba pag sobrang grand yung wedding mo? Hindi naman. Small, alam mo na sa tao rin yan. Ito pa, Johnny, if I may add. Sorry, ang daldal ko. If I may add.
Okay.
Um, I will not stop for the couple to think of yung, kunyari gusto nila yung wedding na napag-usapan na nila with their stylist, with their planners, yung, kumbaga yung maganda, grand. Don't stop. Don't hold that. Like I said, do not worry of something na you don't know yet. I mean, you have time eh. If you're wedding on
Yes.
October onwards or September, wala ka pang dapat i-worry. I mean,
Mm.
you can still talk to your stylist. I'm sure your kunyari, unless ang issue is magbababa ka na ng budget. That's a different issue na. But kung magbababa ka ng budget, I'm sure your supplier can still twitch, something na para magawa pa rin yung gusto mo for your wedding.
Mm. Mm.
So,
And I think it's also very important that we remember nga na, you know, people maybe right after the ECQ who really want to get married will opt for smaller weddings. I think yun din yung tinatanong ng mga tao, ano yung magiging allowed number for mass gathering. So, most likely, maliit pa talaga. So, if
yes,
you
yes.
really want to have a wedding already, then you have to accept the fact na it will be a small wedding. But a small wedding doesn't mean na it's not as beautiful because yun
Pero,
nga yung sinasabi ko kay I was talking to Teddy the other night and sinabi ko
mm-mm.
Teddy Manuel is an event stylist and I said
Stylist,
Teddy,
yeah.
it doesn't mean that they cannot have a grand small wedding. Because even
Yeah.
if you had it in a house, pero sobrang ganda ng styling, sabi ko pa, I'm sure yung mga coordinator, maabilidad yan.
Oh.
They can
Mm-mm.
suggest venues that are small, but if you decorate it, baka it's even more breathtaking because once you enter, parang feast for the eyes kasi your budget was only used for a smaller space na napuno talaga, 'di ba?
Yeah.
And if you really want a big wedding, wait a bit. I mean, just reschedule it.
You can still continue having it. Like earlier I mentioned, Jana, my problem kasi is majority of my couples are Chinese. Nakapili na sila ng date eh. Yan na yung date na
Mm-mm.
nagustuhan, yan na yung napili ng feng shui for them. Sa akin, tuloy niyo pa rin yan. Pwede kayong magkaroon ng small wedding, parang with small family
Mm-hmm.
lang. Pero, of course, you still want to celebrate your wedding with your friends. You want to celebrate your wedding with your relatives, extended relatives, 'di ba? So you can still do that next year. And then hindi ka na mahihirapan maghanap ng date kasi meron ka ng ano eh, meron ka na, nagawa mo na yung na, kumbaga, kasal ka na technically eh. So by next
Mm-mm.
year, flexible ka na. Easier for you to bring everybody on board, the suppliers on board. Yun.
Mm-mm.
So,
Yeah.
pwede,
Yeah.
tapos ang suggestion ko, for example, you plan to have a smaller wedding this year. You opted to have a smaller wedding this year. Guys, let me remind to my, to, to the soon to wed couple or to the couple na plano to smaller size yung kanilang kasal. Do not think na porket nag-smaller size ka, smaller size na rin yung package mo with your supplier. Kunyari, dapat ang guest mo nasa 300. Gagawin mo na ng 20. So, dapat yung photo video ko mas mababa na. It's not like that, guys, ha? It's still the same contract. And the stylist maybe, kumbaga, doon magkaka-affect na lang sa styling. Kasi,
Mm-mm.
syempre, smaller
Mm-mm.
scale. Pero yung mga services, hindi yan maapektuhan. Um,
Yes.
Keep in mind na hindi lahat ng supplier mo, kumbaga the only objective bakit ibababa mo yung, ida-downsize mo lang yung wedding mo. One is, kunyari, kung Chinese ka at you chose the date for feng shui, gusto mo ikasal ka pa rin on that same day, pero with the celebration kahit small lang. Two, kung kunyari ang gusto mong ikasal, parang gusto mong ikasal ka, pero at the same time, you wanted to make sure na next year kasi, para kung mag-next year ka, kahit anong date piliin mo, yung mga suppliers na gusto mong i-book, eh, pareho pa rin yung, kumbaga, hindi ka mahihirapan na i-book sila. Right?
Mm-mm.
And then,
Mm-mm.
you wanted to have a smaller wedding kasi you wanted to lessen the number of your guests. Right? Yun yung reason.
Yes.
Wag mo isipin na pag nag-smaller size ka na wedding, bababa lahat ng suppliers mo. Definitely not.
Mm-mm.
Not
Mm-mm.
everybody. Yeah, yung mga iba, pwede. Titipid ka sa ibang bagay, but not like the other suppliers. And then
Yes,
when you
because
book
the
them next year, when you book them next year, kunyari you avail the supplier, some of the suppliers for this wedding, the next year, you will have another arrangement with them. Another contract naman siya. Ganon.
Okay. So, I think that's a good reminder kasi a lot of people are actually curious about that na parang kung mas maliit na ba yung wedding ko, magiging, let's say, one-fourth na lang yung gagastusin ko. I guess it's also very important to remind them that that's not the case for every single service or supplier that you get because some really give the same output no matter if it's a big or a small wedding. So that's very, very practical advice. Now, for the people who are considering, sige, I'm shifting to um, a smaller celebration or for those who are deciding, sige, push back ko muna because I really want a bigger celebration. What are the, I know you mentioned some of them, but what are the tips that you can give to parang planning hacks on your end? Like, meron ka ba dyan na um, advice like gumawa sila ng Excel sheet or how can you make wedding planning easier?
Always, importante talaga that you organize from the beginning na nagpaplano ka hanggang matapos ka. You organize
Mm-mm.
and you take down every details that you discuss with your supplier because you cannot memorize everything in just
Mm.
conversation lang. And then, of course, you always ask for a contract before you make a down payment. That's very important. Para alam mong secured
Okay.
ka sa mga discussions that you and the supplier, pareho kayong protected. Hindi lang yung supplier, hindi lang din
Yes.
yung client. Kumbaga, both of you are protected. And you are very much aware. If I may add pala, Jana, for the clients, especially na magre-reschedule for next year, some stylists kasi, the rates that they will be given to them might not be the same anymore due to the idea because, syempre, the flowers for next year is gonna be not, the costing wise, these are things na dapat aware din ng couple. And of course, the stylists themselves, they will, be the one to explain further about this one to their clients. Lagi lang kayong compromise at the end of the day. And then make sure that you have all the be available all the time whenever there's a need for the suppliers and you to meet para then one down na hindi ka na mahirapan na na matagalan pa. Kasi importante, kung kaya mong ayusin ngayon,
Yeah. Christine, are you there? Yeah.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go.
And I'm not sure if this is something that I would like for everyone to no, you have to refocus on other aspects. Um, if you are forced to downsize, you need to consider what are the things that you are willing to spend more in terms of your time and your finances. Kumbaga, it's up to you how you set your priorities. Kumbaga,
Yes.
right now it's parang different ball game, right? But
Mm.
again, I never said, I don't know, don't stop believing na gusto mo pa rin magpakasal. Parang don't stop believing na, kumbaga, gusto mo pa rin magpakasal, masaya ka pa rin na you're planning the wedding. And um, I'm not, hindi ko lang ito, Jana, if this will be applicable to everybody, no? Pero baka the option of gifting in monetary will be, kumbaga, magiging mas practical na ngayon. Kasi
Mm-mm.
couples need to relearn the value of compassion instead of tangible gifts. They might ask for love gifts or angpao. Some of them might want to ask this para they can help do donation, kumbaga they support
Yes.
a fundraising.
Mm-mm.
Siguro ito magandang key yun for the couple para ma-inspire pa rin silang ikasal or
Mm-mm.
for kumbaga hindi sila parang at least make ikakasal ako with a cause na nakakatulong pa din ako. And their guest, hindi din sila mahihiyang, kumbaga, mas, sila, mas inspiring sila na, encouraging sila na umattend or pumunta sa kasal.
Yeah.
Yun. And then, uh, the idea now is that all hotels, venues, and the churches, they will I'm sure they'll implement different sanitation protocols. And then, that is for everyone's benefit. Yun yung kailangan natin abangan kung ano man siya. Basically, about social distancing. And there.
Yeah, so those are the tips that Pooh is sharing with us on what to watch out for while you're wedding planning, the things that you need to remember, how to make your wedding planning easier. And I think we're wrapping up now. We're almost reaching an hour, but I think this is always a question that is asked to any supplier. What are budget tips that you can give to couples so that they use their wedding budget wisely, or so that they don't have to spend so much? So, in your perspective, what are some doable or easy budget hacks that you can share with them?
Alam mo, Jana, mahirap eh. Kasi it's hard dahil iba-iba yung mga gusto ng couple natin. Iba-iba yung
Mhm.
priorities nila. So, like earlier I said, they need to learn their priorities first.
Yes.
May
Mm-mm.
mga clients kami, priority nila food. So, they spend more on the
Mm-mm.
food. May mga clients
Yes.
kami, they're particular with the styling. So, they really allocate certain budget for the styling. And photo video, it's always there,
Mm-mm.
it's useless for you to celebrate without a good photo and a video company that will document your event.
Oo,
And
important yun.
yeah, and then the rest kasi hindi yun na yung majority na kakainin ng budget mo eh. Now, for the gowns
Hmm.
naman, it's up to the client pa rin kung ano yung mas prefer nila, right? It's not, I'm not gonna say like, dapat itong amount ang kukunin mo. No, I'm gonna say, know your priorities, know what you like.
Yes.
Importante yon.
Mm-mm.
Mahirap yung, you're planning something, but you don't know what you want. Like, for example,
Mm-mm.
gown. Do not talk to the designer if you don't have like an idea about the gown that you wanted to wear. Kasi it's hindi rin sayang yung magiging time niyo sa isa't isa. And then ikaw, you will never understand the supplier if they give you a certain budget and yet you will question how come the budget is this amount. Kasi
Mm-mm.
hindi mo kasi alam, hindi mo pa naiintindihan yung gusto mo for your wedding. Naguguluhan ka
Yes.
pa.
Oo,
Yeah.
oo.
Yun.
You know,
Sa
yung advice mo na yan, Poo, it's so helpful. Again, I got married 10 years ago. And one of the advice given to me when I was planning is I should have a list of all suppliers.
yes.
Tapos, maglagay ako ng top three or top two. Pwedeng my husband and I, Ayan and myself, we can get to choose one or two suppliers that top of our list. Tapos pwedeng
Yes.
yun yung splurge namin.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
the rest of the suppliers under that, pwede
Yes.
kaming mag-negotiate na pwede. Kasi
Yeah.
it's also so frustrating, di ba? Yung papasok ka sa meeting, tapos ma-realize mo, shucks, di kaya ng budget natin.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you have a
Ako,
realistic expectation na okay,
mm,
this supplier, I'm willing to negotiate. Pwede akong to go lower with someone
yes.
else. Yeah, so it's
Yes.
very helpful for me.
All my clients, Jana, before we start planning, we discuss the budget first. That way, we know who to refer suppliers. Kasi ang daming suppliers, di ba? Para lang din hindi sila mahirapan. And sila, di rin maapektuhan yung budget nila. Uh, for the couple, go back parate sa budget that you start creating. But let me remind you guys that when you do the budgeting na kayong dalawa lang nag-usap, please discuss it with your planner para malaman nyo kung realistic yung ginawa nyo. Because for sure, there will be like incidentals or miscellaneous na hindi nyo pa makikita na magkakaroon at magkakaroon yan. Bottom line dyan, kunyari, ang tanong mo sa akin, for example, or ng mga viewers, no, um, posible ba na bumaba pa yung budget namin because of the ECQ? We wanted to get married, pero medyo maapektuhan na yung budget namin eh. How can we go or lower down the budget? One majority na pwede mong away para bumaba yung budget mo, para tumipid ng konting kasal mo, bawasan mo yung guest list mo. Kasi
Mm-hmm.
isa yan sa pinaka kakainin talaga eh. Then, pag binawasan mo na yung guest list mo, everything will follow. In terms of
Mm-mm.
the styling, in terms of the sounds, and everything will follow. And um, then you set your priorities na. Ano yung importanteng dapat meron, ano yung hindi dapat mawala. Yun.
That's right. That's right. So, just a reminder as we close up, I mean, picking up from what Pooh said, it's so important to know your priorities for wedding planning and for life. Because I think we have to remember that during ECQ, priority pa rin natin is health, wellness,
Yes.
keeping safe. You know, when we do talks like this, it's just really to encourage you to maximize your time at home. But the reality is, since we are in a pandemic, ang priority pa rin natin is really our health, making sure that we support our country in containing this disease, celebrating the heroism of our frontliners, and not taking away from that. Because sometimes, po, parang people are wondering, should we be talking about weddings? You know, weddings, it's a feel good thing, eh, 'di ba? Parang you remember love, you remember that you're celebrating a commitment. So we are not taking away from what's happening because the truth is really ang pinaka-important pa rin now is that you guys are alive and safe and taking care of yourselves. So we're just here to help you maximize your time at home. Pag wala kayong ginagawa, don't forget, you can still plan your wedding, you can still do something productive. And we have experts like Christine Ong Te and her company Kote, who's there to just lend a helping hand to answer your questions. So if you have questions for her, you can contact them in their social media. You can ask about how they do things. But again, this is a time for you to explore. This is a time for you to figure out if you can do something, rescheduling, or if you want to explore promos and packages of suppliers. It's all there. And again, there's no pressure. Don't make a decision immediately. Take your time. This is really a time that you and your fiance um, can talk and discuss. So, Pooh, is there anything that you want to remind or offer our
Okay.
viewers as we close?
All right. To all the couples out there, guys, do not pause. Do not stop planning. The rescheduling will happen. That's fine, but do not stop planning. That this ECQ only gives you more time to plan, more time to prepare. Um, you can still think and explore a lot of things. For example, for video presentations, if you want to have like a growing up photo, this is the time for you to talk to your videographers. You can brainstorm with your other suppliers in terms of gimmicks that you wanted to implement still on the wedding day. So don't stop, never stop believing. Love is immune, as like what we always tell to our clients. And I value all, and of course, I'm proud to say na to all my frontliners na couple, sobrang saludo ako sa inyo kasi kayo, you're the one who, the reason bakit lahat tayo is safe ngayon. Kaya nga, because of
Mm-mm.
that, we give a special discount to first five. I mean, five couples na magbubook sa Kote. Until May 30, we can give you a 50% off because we really value how, kumbaga, you are the true warriors now, you guys. So, yun, saludo ako sa
Mm-mm.
inyo.
Mm-mm.
I
And
hope, Jana, I will, kumbaga, with this talk, no, marami akong natulungan, marami akong mga, questions na nasagot sa mga viewers natin.
definitely, marami talaga. And I think as the months will pass, there will be more questions that we will ask.
Yes,
If we hear
yes.
announcements, marami pa tayong adjustments. And again, it's just really maximizing our time at home. And I want to remind everyone as we end that BNB TV happens regularly either in Facebook Live or Instagram Live. And our next show will happen on Monday at 5
Yay.
p.m. And I'm so excited because we will be talking to two real brides. We are going to be talking to Jess Wilson and Ava Daza. So these two brides have a lot of experience. They were supposed to get married this year. So i-share nila yung experience nila with our BNB TV, and we hope that you guys can tune in for that. Please put that in your calendars and we will see you then. So again, Christine, thank you so
Thank you,
much
Jana.
for
Thank you,
being with us.
everyone.
We want to
Stay
thank
safe.
yeah, we want to thank the viewers, the couples. Nakita ko parang nagtag sila ng mga fiancé nila. And I
Oo
also
nga
want to
eh.
thank I want to thank a lot of the wedding suppliers who also tuned in. I'm very excited that all of us with the couples are trying to ride this out and trying to figure out how we can help each other. So again,
Yeah.
thank you. I hope that you enjoy your Saturday evening. Saturday today, right? Sometimes I forget.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope
I
you
hope, Jana,
enjoy.
that, they can also check the promo that I mentioned earlier to my IG. Christine Ong
As
Te.
IG,
Yeah,
okay.
and Kote
And
Events, yes.
if you are on Instagram, you can also follow me at Janna Simpao. I'm gonna type it in the comment section. But if you wanna follow me there and ask me questions, because I am also collecting topics that we can discuss in BNB TV. Because our goal always in Bride and Breakfast is to help couples make wedding planning easier. So again,
Yeah.
thank you so much for everything. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you on Monday 5 p.m.
All
So thank
right.
you and
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.